Good morning YouTube, and it's me again. It's Jo and this is my channel Joey Sewy. So today I have come to tell you a cautionary tale. I am wearing the Bowline sweater from Papercut Patterns, which I've made 3 times. And I'll just step back and show you. So here it is. It has a really interesting fold detail at the neckline, and the pattern piece for it really messes with your head when you first do it, which is possibly why I've made it 3 times. However, here is my tale. Once upon a time, there was a sewist, me, who pre-washed her fabric like a good girl, and but she didn't have a tumble dryer, so she pre-washed her fabric and air dried her fabric because that is the way that her clothes were going to be treated. And then she sewed with it and she made lovely things and she liked the lovely things. Then the sewist got a tumble dryer. Can you see where it's going? The sewist loved the tumble dryer. She loved it very much, and she washed her clothes and she dried it in the tumble dryer. And then the sewist's clothes were smaller. Yeah. So this, I think I've just about got away with it, but to be honest, when I took this top out of the tumble dryer yesterday, because we've only had it about a week, the tumble dryer, not the top, I was really worried that I'd killed it. It looked really small, and I'm pretty sure it definitely has shrunk. There's building noise outside if you can hear it. But I think I've got away with it. I thought I was going to show you sort of sleeves up to here, whereas luckily I have short arms, but of course I'd already adjusted for that. I think I've got away with it, and I thought I was going to kind of have a big sort of a belly showing thing going on, and it's okay. It's a bit snugger, but it was a fairly loose top to begin with, and so I think we all lived happily ever after. But it is a cautionary tale that when you pre-wash your fabric, you do it for 2 reasons. The first is because it may well shrink, but it isn't actually about the washing, it's about treating it in the way that you would treat your clothes. So that's where my problem has come, because I've never had a tumble dryer before. I've got one now, and so I used to pre-wash my fabric, air dry it, sew with it, wash my clothes, air dry them, wear them, they were fine. Now I have some decisions to make about which pieces of clothing I'm going to risk in the tumble dryer in case they shrink more for the first time because they've never been tumble dried before, and which pieces I care too much about that I'm not going to let that happen. So the first reason to pre-wash is to shrink the fabric, and it's pre-wash through the whole process of however you wash your clothes. If you go down to the river and use a washboard and a stone, then that's what you need to do with your fabric. I hope you don't, but if you do, that's what you need to do with your fabric. If you go to a laundrette elsewhere and you spin your clothes and you really hot tumble dry it, then that's what you need to do with your fabric. It's about putting them through the same process that you would put them through, and the only time you would ever not pre-wash fabric is if you're never going to wash the clothes. So if it's a dry clean only item, or maybe a costume and it's a one wear only thing, then you don't need to pre-wash your fabric. So what I thought I'd do today, because we get told all of this, and we shrink things occasionally and realise maybe we should have paid more attention, but I bought 2 pieces of cotton lawn at the weekend and I haven't pre-washed them yet. So what I thought I would do is actually, we're going to measure them, we're going to wash them, and then we're going to tumble dry them, and then we're going to measure them. And I don't know whether this will prove the rule or be an exception to the rule, but let's just find out, okay? So here we go. So these are my 2 pieces of cotton lawn. This I'm going to use to line a skirt, and this I am going to use to make a blouse. And this one particularly was pretty expensive, especially for me. It was £16.50 a metre, which yeah, that's way more than I normally spend, although I have promised myself this year actually that I will buy really nice fabrics to work with rather than cheap stuff. But anyway, so I'm keeping to that promise to myself. So I am going to measure the width. This is folded, but I'm going to measure the width. So what's its original width? So it's starting out at 74 centimetres times 2, so 148 centimetres wide exactly, and I'm going to write that down. And then I'm going to measure the exact length, not what I think I purchased, but exactly how long it is at the selvage edge, I think. Because one thing to bear in mind about fabric shrinking is that it won't necessarily shrink evenly. That's one of the trickiest things, you know. Quite often it will shrink more along the width than the length, or vice versa. You know, it will go in one direction or another. Or sometimes, just to mess with your head, it might shrink diagonally too, in strange ways. So let's have a look. That's 1.5. So this is 1 metre 58.5 centimetres. So I'm going to write that down. And then I'm going to do exactly the same with the pink piece. One other thing just to say about why you pre-wash your fabric. They're both cotton lawns, not necessarily, some from the same shop, but I don't know that they're from the same manufacturer. But at the moment, this is way stiffer than this. And a lot of fabrics, when you buy them, you might already know this, but they have like what they call a dressing on them. The outside light's changing, so I'm sorry about the brightness. So this actually, at the moment, is quite a stiff fabric. Can you see that? It's not draping so much as folding. It's quite drapey because it's not a heavyweight fabric, but it's quite stiff. And when I wash it, it's going to go a lot softer because that dressing will come off it. And that's something to bear in mind when you're buying fabrics. It's really tricky because some things will change a lot when you wash them, and you buy something and you might think, oh, that's really crisp, I like that, and then you wash it and it goes all drapey. Or you might be looking for something really drapey and you see something like this and you think, well, no, that's too stiff. But when you wash it, it should go softer. The people in the fabric shop should be able to help you with that, and if they can't, then they need to up their education about their own fabrics that they're selling. I would hope that, you know, most can. Let's have some faith. So I'm going to measure this one too off camera, and then I'm going to put it in the machine. Here is my fabric. It's wet, it's been washed, and I'm going to put it in the tumble dryer. I'm going to set it on a cottons setting, and we'll see what happens when it comes out. So we're back. It's the end of the day and the light's all different, and I'm in a different place to try and get vaguely okay light, but we are back and I have my results. I have my fabric. So to recap, I have washed it in the washing machine, I have dried it in the dryer, I have ironed it, so it's been ironed, folded it back selvage to selvage, and I have measured it. So how did it do? We've got this pink cotton lawn, we've got this, I love this, gorgeous blue cotton lawn, and the results are in my tape measure. The results are that the blue cotton lawn started out being 148 centimetres wide. Sorry about the shouting, there are children killing each other on the Xbox next door. It started out 148 centimetres wide. It ended up 105 centimetres wide, so it lost 3 centimetres across its entire width, and it started out 158.5 centimetres long, and it ended up 156 centimetres long, so it lost 2.5 centimetres in its length. So I'll put the percentage shrinkage that I got, I'll work out the maths and I'll put it up here. So it wasn't a huge shrinkage, but imagine if you had spent ages fitting something, you know, 3 centimetres loss of width across the whole thing could represent a whole centimetre across the width of a pattern piece, for example, and that's going to make a big difference to your garment. The pink lawn, so the pink cotton lawn, shrank slightly more. That started out at 108.5 centimetres wide and ended up 103, so it lost 5.5 centimetres across its width, and it started out a lot less wide, a lot narrower. So percentage wise, as I will put up here, the shrinkage was a lot greater across that. And then it started out 209 centimetres long and it lost 8 centimetres. It ended up being 201 centimetres long. So that's quite a lot, and as I said, you'll be able to see, because I will have done the maths, the percentage shrinkage. So in summary, that is why we pre-wash and pre-dry and pre-iron our fabrics, even though it's possibly the most boring part of sewing. So thank you very much for watching. Maybe I won't do something quite so dull next time, but it's been quite interesting because I've never actually measured it, I've just taken it as faith. But now I know from practice of shrinking a garment and of measuring my fabrics just how much things shrink by. So thanks for being with me. I will see you next time. Until then, happy sewing and goodbye. Bye.